Carl probably mentioned the new parts that have come in from the factory. Well, they're all fitted and good to go. I hope they do the trick.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2019 career mode here today for the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard in Season 2. So, we have some upgrades on the car as you just heard. 3 upgrades to the engine side, all minor, but they're a bit of everything, a bit of power, a bit of fuel economy, a bit of ERS system upgrade. But anyway, we have to select a new rival, so none of these have particularly high ratings, it seems, but I'm going to choose Sebastian Vettel. He's been doing pretty well in the championship so far, so he will be my rival for the next few races, but we'll see how that goes. Ferrari are the second fastest car, so I feel like that only made sense to pick Vettel, but it's been an interesting dynamic between him and PEREZ. They've been swapping around at any track. Either one could be faster, but it'll be interesting to see how they go in the championship. But with those 3 upgrades and Ferrari not upgrading into the French Grand Prix, we have really pulled a gap to them on the R&D chart, with Williams also putting in some mega upgrades the last few rounds and really catching up to the kind of mid to upper tiers of the field. But you can see the 3 upgrades going on the car there, and that puts us at the top of the engine chart. So we are now, I think, top of all 3 of the R&D charts, and now we can focus on mostly the reliability of the car, if that is what we need to do. But let's get into qualifying and see how those upgrades go and see where our pace is at.
Welcome to qualifying for this weekend's French Grand Prix. The teams are making their last-minute adjustments before the lights go green, and the fight for pole position gets underway. So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question is going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
Alright, so here we go for qualifying. We've actually moved all the way on to Q3 already because I figured you can see the results of the first 2 sessions once we go to the starting grid. So we've moved straight onto our Q3 lap and already heading through to the end of the first sector, running a little wide there, but that shouldn't cost us too much time. But maybe a bit out on the exit curb, and just really struggling to put that first sector together throughout the whole weekend. And this middle sector chicane though has been pretty good for me, I think, and we got through there fairly cleanly. Probably could have been a bit more aggressive over the curbs, but now into the last sector. I love this section of track. It is a real challenge, and I think the only thing that sort of takes away from it, as I'm sure most racing drivers would agree, is that there's just runoffs on the edge, so you don't really lose anything if you run out wide. And it kind of gives you a bit of a weird sort of feeling. But anyway, we are heading now through the final corner. Missed the apex completely there, but we have put in a pretty decent lap through the first 2 sectors, so as we come across the line,
Excellent lap. We're really pleased.
we get pole position for the race, the French Grand Prix, so that is really good.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. The scientist, Leclerc, and Sebastian Vettel. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
So it's a Racing Point 1-2, Sebastian Vettel, our rival in 3rd, PEREZ in 5th this time. A good qualifying from Gasly at his home race. But anyway, let's get into the race and get the Grand Prix underway.
Welcome to Le Castellet as we return from across the Atlantic for the 2019 French Grand Prix. Reintroduced to the Formula One calendar just last year after an absence of almost 3 decades. The circuit, Paul Ricard, where racing legends such as Alain Prost gave us some Turn 1 excitement before Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel and a commanding victory from Lewis Hamilton gave us a brilliant race last year. What, I wonder, will it have in store for us this season? Mastering a lap of Paul Ricard means getting to know 15 corners, 6 left and 9 right, for an overall lap distance of 3.6 miles. The two halves of the long Mistral Straight are separated by a heavy braking zone into a potential overtaking hotspot at the chicane Nord. And watch out for the drivers running onto the distinctive coloured stripes, which are low in grip and highly abrasive. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today. But I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. The scientist lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Bottas, Sergio Perez, and Gasly, Verstappen, Weber, Butler, and Lewis Hamilton. Stroll, Giovinazzi, Daniel Kvyat, and Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Lando Norris, and George Russell. Kubica and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Right, let's be patient going into turn 1. We want to be in a good position for the rest of the race. Good luck.
Alright, thank you, Jeff. So as for the strategy for this one, it's going to be simple, soft to 2 sets of mediums, just the usual one that we tend to go for at this stage in the career mode. With some more tyre upgrades on the car later, we may be able to get away with 2 sets of softs for some races. But anyway, let's now go to 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the French Grand Prix. And it's not a great start though compared to the cars behind, and Charles Leclerc is going to be around the outside as we head into the first corner, but we're going to hold on to first position for now, unlike Canada. So we did not bottle it this time, and Sebastian Vettel has actually found his way up into second position as we miss the apex into turn 2. But importantly, we have the track position at this point, and now we can try to focus on getting a rhythm, and we are not going to be interrupted quite as much by other cars unless we make a mistake heading onto the straight. And Sebastian Vettel now has got a run on us, so we need to defend the inside line. Vettel is going to the outside, and I think we should just about be able to hold on to the position here. Shouldn't be too difficult to hold him off as we get a bit of a slide on the exit. Leclerc back up into second position, and Vettel back down into third.
That's a decent start. Good job.
And Jeff there saying it's a decent start, so we've done our job, and now we just need to get a rhythm. Hopefully Leclerc will just sit there and not put too much pressure on as we head through the rest of this lap and through the rest of this race. But that is down to us. We need to have the pace to pull away from the cars behind. But for now, they've been keeping up as we've made a few mistakes. But we should hopefully be able to set up a nice exit, and this hopefully will get us out of range from Leclerc. And he has indeed dropped back a little bit as we head along the front straight to complete the first lap. But we move on, and Leclerc is not done. He's going to come knocking on the right hand side, flying past down the straight, and there's nothing I can really do. I'm going to send it down the inside as we head into the chicane. And I feel like that is one area of the track where I've got an advantage over the AI. Super late on the brakes there, and we do get the position back off of Charles Leclerc. But it's getting a little bit feisty there between us, but we should hopefully be able to maintain his position now. But the DRS for Leclerc is just going to get a little bit annoying, because he's just going to keep coming at us, and with the DRS assistance now, we couldn't quite come back at him around the outside. We tried that time, but it just didn't work out for us. And now we are looking back at another car of Sergio Perez. So Perez is now the lead Ferrari, but as we move on again, we do catch up to Charles Leclerc, and we're going to have a look to the outside of the first corner this time, around the outside, and we might be able to get this done to the inside of turn 2, and we do get the position back and maintain the lead of the race. But Leclerc isn't done, and he's just going to keep coming back at us. In the DRS we have to leave the space there, but we're going to hold him off on the inside line and retake the lead just there. But Sergio Perez now is right in the fight as well, so we'll need to watch out for both of them as we move right across the left hand side of the road, but there's no use in defending because he's already well past us by the time we get to the braking zone. And I'm now more worried about Sergio Perez than I am about Leclerc. So it's going to be a really close battle all through this race, I think, with the cars around us now. And in fact, there's more cars getting involved as we look back. So this could get very intense as we head through the race. But continuing on again, we do catch up to Charles Leclerc after losing a bit of time. And can we make a move? He's defending. We could go to the outside of the first corner once again, but we just don't have the same position that we had a few laps ago. And we can't get the position there. But we eventually move along all the way through our pit window. We just couldn't get any kind of move done on Leclerc through all that time. And we decide to come in for our pit stop on lap 11 of the race. So a fair chunk of this race already out of the way, with not a lot of real action, just swapping positions with our teammate. So we're going to get an undercut here, I think, on our teammate. So things should work out pretty well for us if the undercut...
Only one stop to go, one stop left in this strategy.
Is it all viable here? So we'll see what we can do. We come out though in a fair amount of traffic, so we're going to have to watch out for that. But the first car in line is George Russell, so let's hope that we can overtake him without too many issues. So here we go along the back straight. We go to the right hand side of George Russell. He defends the position down the right hand side though, and we get the move done. Now we've got side by side up ahead between Daniel Ricciardo and a Toro Rosso car. We pull up alongside Ricciardo, and it's going to be really close between myself, Ricciardo and Kvyat. I'm not sure where Kvyat is at the moment, but we go around the outside of Ricciardo and get the position there. But that was 3 wide heading towards the flat out right-hander, but somehow we managed to come out on top there and get the positions away from all of them. But as we move on again, we're going to have to descend it here around the outside of the McLaren of Lando Norris, and we get that move done as well, and move our way up ahead of Lando Norris. But we still have plenty of work left to do as we move on. We go down the inside of Sergio Perez as he's exiting pit lane, and we manage to take that position away from him. So really tight margins there.
Second place, you're in second place. Charles ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 21.8 seconds.
So Charles Leclerc yet to stop, but I think he's in the lane now. And as we go past, there he is. You may have heard the engine there as he's still behind the wall, but Sergio Perez is going to jump Leclerc as well. So Perez has had a really good in-lap clearly, because he almost jumped me.
Behind you, less than a second separate you. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 1 lap old. We think they've got 1 more stop. The time last lap was a 1:49.0.
And now heading into the middle sector chicane, we're battling away with Sergio Perez, and he's going to get the position, but we will be in the slipstream on the run to the flat-out right-hander. He moves across to the right a little bit to cover, but we've got a good run in the slipstream. Can we make a move here? We get so close, but we were never going to try anything there. That was would be too optimistic, as we run a little bit wide and a bit slow. And I considered just letting Leclerc through here, but he gave us the space on the outside, so we decided to take it and retake the second position in this race. Perez continuing to lead, but we should be able to close up through these last few corners. I feel like our car is really strong through that penultimate corner and heading onto the straight. So we get a nice exit here and using a lot less road than Perez has to get the straight line speed. And we pull to the left-hand side. Is not a lot of space there, but we get the position down the inside of the first corner and take the lead of the French Grand Prix.
Nice move. Good job.
And as we just about try to keep the car on the road. But as we move on, we're battling away with Sergio Perez along the straight. Leclerc to the inside, almost off the circuit. We move to the outside to let them battle away, and we're just going to follow through and see if we can get one of these two positions as they continue to go side by side on the exit of the chicane. So we've got a decent exit. Leclerc gets the lead, and we're going to go to the inside of Sergio Perez into the flat-out right-hander, which is not flat out when you're side by side, but we do manage to take that position away from Sergio Perez, move our way up into second position, and now let's see if we can put the pressure on Charles Leclerc, or maybe if we can even work together. But we have a big slide. Perez gets back through the left-hander there, and that is a mistake that we couldn't afford, but we will come back at him eventually as we move on through the race, and just about get through there, heading through turn 2, but he's still on the left-hand side as we battle away through the first sector. And we just need to leave him a bit of space as we are still side by side for almost the entirety of the first sector, but through these double right-hander corners we get the position.
The battery is low on energy. Reduce ERS deployment.
And Leclerc has gone in all that, but the battle with Perez is far from over as he's down the inside again into turn the chicane. And he's going to manage to get through there actually, but we will have a good exit, and we will maybe be able to get in the slipstream. Not going to be close enough to make any kind of move into the chicane, but we get a nice run through the chicane down the inside into this right-hander, contact a big slide, and almost sends us completely off circuit. We do manage to recover it, but we were very lucky there not to end up with any damage to our front wing. If you look on the right of screen now, you'll see the contact, but yeah, I'm very lucky to get away with that one without any serious consequences.
Right, come in at the end of this lap.
Perez pits, and we follow him in. We weren't scheduled to come in for quite a while, but Perez is making his final stop now, and I decided to just follow suit. Notice Perez was actually on the soft tyres for that stint, so that explains why his pace was so good. I'm not sure what tyres Leclerc was on. He was on softs as well. You can see at the top of the screen there briefly, but we did gain a bit of time, I think, on Sergio Perez in the pit lane, so that is always a benefit.
Strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Of those contract perks, but yeah, we need to hopefully clear Sergio Perez and get a few good outlaps in, because Leclerc was miles out in front of us. So yeah, we really need to push on now. I'm not sure if it is better to actually battle with Perez to try to get us some clean air, or if we're just better to follow on. But either way, we need to set some pretty quick lap times now if we want any chance of keeping up with Leclerc later in the race. So as we move on, we're putting the pressure on Sergio Perez as we head along the front straight, and
to teammate ahead is 25.9 seconds.
Going to be close enough to make a move around the outside into the first corner, but not close enough there. And Perez maintains the position, and this is what I'm worried about. This is costing us both time now, and Leclerc is too far ahead of us by probably a good 4 or 5 seconds at least. So all this battling that we're doing now, that you can see, it's holding us both up, and that gap is only going to be getting bigger as we're fighting, and Perez is just not going fast enough to help me get an undercut on Leclerc, so we do need to find a way past.
It's time to use some of this charge.
So hopefully we can make a move into the chicane. We're in the slipstream, DRS open, but we're not going to be close enough again. We have to take it very cautiously into the chicane actually, and that is so we can have plenty of time to try to set up a good exit, and maybe we'll have a run onto the second half of the back straight, sitting in the slipstream.
1.7 seconds.
But not close enough there.
Charles is in the pits.
And yeah, Leclerc in pit lane on this lap, so we have, I think, lost the opportunity to get an undercut on Leclerc, and in the dirty air they're really struggling.
Ahead, but remember, we need to get to the end of
but we do manage to find our way around the outside of Perez into the first corner, and this time we get the move done, but we could have done with that a few laps ago before Leclerc made his pit stop, but now Leclerc is out and in front of us. But Perez, though, annoyingly, is just going to keep coming back at us around the right-hand side, and a lock up there, though, and we're going to maintain that position. A lock up there from Perez really cost him, but in the grand scheme of things,
Our gap to the car in front is 1.6 seconds.
I think we're going to finish ahead of him anyway. But now Max Verstappen is the car ahead of us. I'm not sure where he's come from, but maybe he still has a stop to make. But we go around the outside into the chicane and take that position. And Verstappen is on the medium tyres, so yeah, I'm not sure what strategy he's on, but we did just overtake him anyway. Next up is Sebastian Vettel, and he has another pit stop to make, I believe. So that will promote us up into second position. As you can see in the bottom left corner, the red dot entering pit lane is Sebastian Vettel, and Sergio Perez will find his way back up into third position on the podium.
That's Charles ahead of you. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 4 laps old. The time last lap was a 1 minute 35.8. You're gaining by 1/10 a lap.
Not a big gain, but Sergio Perez in the Ferrari has smoke pouring out of the back of his car, and that will be the end of the day for Sergio Perez, running in the podium positions, and now a DNF.
Caution, caution. The virtual safety car is out. Reduce speed and maintain a positive delta.
So VSC comes out, and that...
Weber behind. Okay, the gap behind is 16.4 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 10 laps old. The time last lap was a 1:37.3.
So Weber needs another stop.
You're sat in P2. Charles ahead. Our gap to the car in front is 5.9 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Weber is behind you. Our gap behind is 16.4 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. 18 laps to go.
Alright, thanks Jeff.
VSC ending, we're going green. Maintain positive delta until the green flags. Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace. Virtual safety car is ending.
Jeff, it's
Maintain
ended, be
your
quiet.
pace until the green flag. VSC
Around the
ending,
green flag
wait for
again.
green.
You shush. But yeah, get back underway. We've got 5.6 seconds to gain if we want to catch up to Charles Leclerc. So we've got quite a mission ahead of us. And as we move on, Robert Kubica comes out of pit lane right in front of us. So there's still a few cars left to make their stops. Lucas Weber, as I said, is one of them as we get past Robert Kubica. But yeah, it'd be good to see Weber up on the podium, but unfortunately that position is not legit as Kubica sends one down the inside into the chicane. He gets the DRS for being behind us, so even though he's a lap down, he's trying to fight back, but we run side by side through the chicane, but maintain the position. And luckily I saw him coming, otherwise that could have been a big collision heading into the chicane. But Kubica fighting very hard in this race as Lando Norris retires from the race with a mechanical failure. So unfortunate for him. But we move on to the end of the race now. Charles Leclerc is the race winner, and we just had no chance of catching him. He absolutely dominated the closing stages and just pulled further and further ahead. It was a really solid drive, but we're going to come across the line for P2.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a good finish. Well done.
And an incredible win for Racing Point. A brilliant performance. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Racing Point's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the veterans of the sport. They're making their way out to the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them.
So it's another pole position, but no trophy for us, or no winning trophy for us. Charles Leclerc takes that one home. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get a chance to win races later on in the season, I hope.
And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. The scientist increases their championship lead. Now let's discuss, Ants, who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
There's a few contenders, but George Russell definitely stood out, I think. A really solid drive from him today, and one I'm sure the fans enjoyed.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Racing Point continue to run away with it out in front. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
But yeah, I'd like to know if I'm the only one who gets that. But I seem to be getting pole positions by quite a margin every time, and then in the race I've just got no pace, and I just do not know why. I just don't know why that is. But anyway, we will come back stronger next time, and the next race will be Austria, and that is my favourite circuit. And I'd love to take home a winning trophy from Austria if I can, but we can't be making mistakes as we smash one of the bollards there. That looked really cool, but yeah, that could have gone better, but at the end of the day we still have the championship lead. Leclerc is closing up, but yeah, we just need to keep on just getting the points, getting the best positions we can. But that's 2 races in a row where we've got pole position and just drop back in the race. This one obviously not quite as drastically as we did in Canada. I really had no pace, and I was having trouble fighting with the Mercedes. Obviously we had that almightily close finish with Lance Stroll. I'm not sure if that's an adjective, but anyway. Yeah, good battles though throughout the race, especially with PEREZ. Didn't see too much of Leclerc in the second half, and in fact in the second half of the race there wasn't really a lot of action for me. After that last pit stop, it was really kind of a boring run to the flag from then on, and we just had the track to ourselves after PEREZ retired. So yeah, a bit of a shame for PEREZ that he retired. He was on for a really good result, definitely a podium, but anyway. Let's go to the interviews.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
You must be happy with the result today.
Yeah, reasonably. It's always a bit of a shame if you can get pole position but lose out during the race, but it was a decent result for the team nonetheless, bringing home the 1-2.
Your team must be ecstatic with how you're performing.
Yeah, it's been a really great start to the year for us so far, and Leclerc has obviously had a few hard races so far.
That was a close finish. How were things between the two of you?
Yeah, it was pretty close, but I just didn't really have the pace towards the end of that one.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Thanks, Claire. Alright, so that brings the French Grand Prix weekend to a close, and Leclerc takes the early lead of our rivalry, but hopefully we'll be able to come back later on in the season, because we don't want to lose any reputation points by getting beaten by our teammate. But he's been very, very consistent lately, has Charles. But 600 resource points to go towards the R&D, and a good couple of thousand.
Great work this weekend. It was fantastic to see you up on that podium.
But contract negotiation time, and I think we will pretty much negotiate the exact contract that we just had.
All parties are happy with the deal, so it'll commence at the next race.
So yeah, there you go. So now for R&D, we are going to get a department efficiency on the engine side, seeing as we've just got that whole bunch of resource points, so we can afford that.
If it were me, this is probably what I'd invest in.
And we will also get an ERS upgrade as well, which will hopefully help us run higher ERS modes for a longer time during races. But anyway, that will come in for Austria, and the department efficiency is obviously instant, but it doesn't really do anything immediate to the car, but will help us get more upgrades faster later on in the season. But with the rate of upgrades that we have now, it will probably just be a battle between myself and Leclerc for the rest of the season. It does seem. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time for the Austrian Grand Prix. Goodbye.